Hello, hello. Happy Friday. You made it. It's the second last episode of 2024. Welcome to the Friday Live with Lauren show. I am Lauren, and today I am not your only host. This is the first time that I think I've ever had a co-host on this show. I am stoked. You all know my co host so well. She joins me each week, but she does her own segment. So today, she's going to come on, be here the entire hour. We have two very special guests joining us. There will be four of us on this screen. What is happening? It might get a little chaotic. I promise you're going to laugh a lot. I'm so excited you're here. Let me get my co-host, Michelle. What's up?
What is up, y'all? It is Friday, not to brag, but it's sunny in Austin, and I've had like 500 milligrams of caffeine, so I am pumped, I am ready, I'm excited, and it's going to be a great show.
I'm so ready. If anybody is watching right now, you might know that today's a really special episode for me and Michelle. Michelle, what's so special about today's episode?
Well, if you followed the show, you know that our moms are always here to support us in the comments, but today we are bringing them onto the show. We're co-hosting, they're our guests, so you're going to get basically Lauren and I times 2 today.
Times 2. So much more intensified. You guys are going to see what created Michelle and I. Maybe where the madness comes from. I don't know. I'm stoked. I literally have wanted my mother to come on the show since I first told her I was starting the show. And I think she looked at me like I was nuts. So, y'all, it's also my mother's birthday. Have to throw that out there. So thank you, Mom, for coming on and joining us for your birthday hour. Michelle, what do you think? Think we should get them out here?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Is LinkedIn ready is the question.
Here we go. All right, let's switch this so that we're above our respective pair. There we go. What's up? Welcome. Hi.
Hey there.
Hey.
Aloha.
Does it feel surreal to watch it or like actually be on it instead of watching it today?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun.
I think it's going to be so much fun. We have 4 topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some work stuff because if you guys know and you watch the show, we want you to learn, we want you to laugh, but we want you to level up your career mostly. It is a Friday at, I don't know, whatever time it is for you who's watching, but you're probably on the clock and we want your boss to let you watch this show. Look at this. Dan says, bring on the moms. There we go. And Mom, we got a happy birthday for you from Cheryl. So we got some people watching. But we're going to talk about some things today. We're going to talk about parenthood. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about employee development and delegation and some of those harder topics that I know come up throughout the shows that we don't always dive too deep into. And I'm just super excited to get to have these conversations with our moms who kind of like gave us all the knowledge that we have.
Oh, you're going to make us cry.
No, don't cry. Do not cry.
I'm not crying.
No. Okay, I'm not going to pull all the comments up today. We have 4 people on the show, so the layout's not going to work as well for the comments. But we do have Dan's tuning in from Long Island, New York. Dan, thank you so much for always tuning into the show. I didn't even have to like ask you guys where you're joining us from. You just told me. So please, if you're watching, where are you joining us from? I'm going to ask our 2 guests in just a minute where they're joining us from when they do their intros. But also, if you're watching, would you share the show? Share the show. Let some people know that we are live right now. We want them to get to hear and see everything and laugh along with us. Who wants to go first? Let me do this. And hey, Daniela, why don't you tell us who is Daniela Hanna?
Daniela Hanna is a mom, an entrepreneur, and a businesswoman. And she believes in God to take her through life, and she has done it since day one. What else do you want to know?
What was your favorite thing about Michelle growing up?
I got to watch her her 2-year-old when she'd get into my cupboards and take out my pants, and then she'd sit in all my drawers and put on makeup and shave her hair, part of her hair with,
Michelle, you were rowdy from the beginning.
Oh yeah. I'm an agent of chaos from the beginning.
I love it. All right, Daniela. Ellen, why don't you tell everybody who is Ellen Rixie?
Well, since it's my birthday, I do want to tell everyone that I am 29 forever years old, because if you just asked my grandson, your son, Lauren, how old is Grana? He calls me Grana. He will tell you he's learned this lesson well. 29. You're always 29. So there you go. Now you know my age. I am, I think I want to start with saying because we're going to talk about work today. I've been working since I was 11 years old. Yes, for real paying jobs. And yes, it was illegal, and that's okay. Oh, well. I'm on the show from near Mount Dora, Florida, Lake Gem. So that's where I'm located. I heard you were from Austin. I didn't hear where Daniela is, but I'm in Lake Gem, and it's a beautiful place here. Lauren grew up here since she was 1 year old. This is her home. I had a career in telecommunications for 38 years, but let me tell you, retirement beats work. I've been retired for, this week is 8 years. 8 years. It's awesome. And that's
retirement. Retirement sounds fun. I know one day I'll get to experience it as well. But it's been fun to watch you be retired. I will tell anybody watching, she's the busiest retired person you'll ever meet. Good luck getting penciled in on that calendar, because they're always doing something. But yeah, I'm stoked to have you both here. Michelle, you're in Austin?
I am in Austin this week. Yeah.
Sunny outside and beautiful where you are, I can see. And Daniela, you already have your Christmas tree decorated so beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm in Texas now. Usually in Maui, I go back and forth. So I'm visiting with family and friends, and I'm excited.
That's awesome. All right. So everybody, this is a global show. We got people from Canada in here. We have Liverpool. We have Michigan. We got a lot of people who join us. So thank you, everybody, for coming back each week. You are why we show up. We do have a question already, Daniela. Dan would like to know, did Michelle drink coffee as a toddler?
I don't believe so, unless I wasn't watching or paying attention, which I thought I was pretty good at watching everything, but not when she was a toddler. No, for sure.
No, when she was a toddler. Okay, that was so funny. All right. If you guys are watching, you can ask questions in the chat like Dan did. We will answer them if they're appropriate. We know the answer. We don't know the answer to everything. We are human. We are still going to do High Five Friday today. It will be the last High Five Friday of the year. We have some great high fives. And I got to say really quick, thank you to Sendoso. Sendoso is our official gifting sponsor. You can comment hashtag Sendoso to be entered to win today's prize. Should we tell them what they're entering to win? Yeah? Okay. Grove Cookie Company cookies. Cookies, y'all. Grove cookies. I will tell you, it's December 20th. You are not going to get these by Christmas. But as you're doing all of your returns from the gifts you didn't want anyway and contemplating what you're going to regift, you can get these cookies delivered and have some cookies. So comment hashtag Sendoso to be entered to win. And should we show them what they're going to win? Maybe?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't know why it's only going to show 3 of us while we do this, but here we go. Here we go. All right. Sendoso cookies. Okay. So there's it's a baker's choice, half dozen. So whatever they want to throw in there. Normally it's a great assortment of cookies. And Grove Cookie Company is yummy and wonderful. All right. We are all back. All right. So hashtag Sendoso to win. We got 4 topics. We're going to jump right in. Ellen, you're going to start us off. First topic of the day is employee development. Now, I know you're good at this because I used to watch you do this to me as your child at the dinner table. But let's talk about in work and employee development. When did you use this in your career? When were you developing employees? Tell everybody who's watching a little bit about your background.
You may have to cut me off on this one because I love this topic. Employee development was probably my favorite role when I was working. And it's because so many people don't get developed by their management. They don't get helped. They don't get what they need to grow. And it's pretty important and it's pretty powerful. There are a few things I'm going to touch on because I could go all day on this topic, but there's a couple things I want to talk about. When I did supervisory development specifically for a long time, and in the beginning it was really hard for me. I was telling people their flaws and what they needed to improve on and what they failed at. It made me really nervous and anxious, and it took me a while to realize they needed this, and I was the one trying to help them. I didn't need to be nervous about it. And after, you always brought a box of tissues when you did the feedback because it was tough for people to hear that, but boy, did they need it. And then when they improved, they always came back and said, oh, I'm so glad someone helped me with this. They not only told me where I needed to improve, but they gave me ways to do it. So I want to just hit on the top topics, the top items that needed development. And one of them, I think you'll be surprised, is initiative. People usually were weak in initiative. And it wasn't because they weren't willing to do it. It was because they didn't know what that meant. How do I take initiative? It didn't occur to them. They would do their job, and they might do a little bit extra if there was a reward for the extra credit. But it didn't even occur to them to go above and beyond and think of things that would make it better or make the company better or help the client or help the boss. Initiative just wasn't, it didn't even occur to them. So once you pointed that out, that's almost all you had to do, was say, look for ways to show initiative and put it in your to-do list. Initiative. How can today I show some initiative? So that was pretty powerful, that one. The other one was, believe it or not, providing feedback. That is such a tough one. I could talk all day about providing feedback, how difficult it is for people to provide feedback to others. And I'm thinking about the people that are listening to this. What does that mean when you provide feedback, and how do you do it? I made a few notes, put on my eyeballs here so I can see them. When you think about how to give people feedback, it's really tough to know how to present it in a way that it won't be, because usually feedback is about negative things, right? Everybody thinks feedback is for your flaws or your weaknesses or what you could do better, but it's really not. Feedback is for everything. It's for when you did a good job and specifically what you did that was good. Or if you need to improve, bringing it up in a way that people can accept it and not get defensive, and being willing to say it. My biggest thing, and Lauren's heard this a million times, if you're talking about me, but you haven't talked to me, then you owe me some feedback, good or bad. And boy, is that a tough one to live up to. So I won't go on because I could forever, but that to me is the thing everybody should write down today. Don't talk about me, talk to me.
Yes. And I'm going to ask you one more question around feedback. And then, Daniela, I have a few questions for you. But Mom, and this is not a PG show, so sorry anybody who is a little bit offended, but how do you give good feedback without it just being a shit sandwich?
You make it specific and real. Like, you don't just say, man, I really, you're doing such a good job. Well, what does that mean? No. I can give you some, Lauren. I'll use you for my example. You are a really good mom. And this feedback is true because I have watched you nurture your son and give him direction and keep him on the right path and show him love. And you do that in ways that hopefully you learn from your mom. That is specific. And you can do that with negative too. If you've got an area to improve, you don't just say, man, you really need to improve your speech. Your speaking. See, I'm getting twisted up. I need help in my speech today. But then you describe why, and hopefully you wouldn't come out with it that way. You'd find a better way to say it. But people need to hear it, even if it's tough love, even if they walk away upset, mad, angry, they'll think about it. And if you try to deliver it in a good way and give them specifics on what they can do to improve it, then you're going to win in the long run. And so are they.
Yeah, I deal with that. Dealing with job search strategy and clients, and really just giving people specific feedback, even with a simple resume review. People just want to hear the truth, and they want you to come to them and talk to them and tell them what actually needs to be different and change. Michelle, I'm going to let you take it away for a few minutes and ask your mom some questions. I know that We have becoming a mom in business and entrepreneurship coming up next. And I know that Daniela, that's going to be an amazing topic for you to run away with. So Michelle, why don't you take it away for a little bit?
Perfect. Yeah. So we did a little prep on this, but Mom, for you, this question is around, how did you get started as an entrepreneur? I mean, I obviously know the answers here, but how did you get started as an entrepreneur? What inspired it? Maybe talk a little bit about how you became a business owner for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to work 3 jobs before I had Michelle. I'd work for Department of Motor Vehicles. I'd work for Sizzler. I would work house cleaning. So I do 3 jobs just to stay afloat. I had Michelle. And then I thought, well, how do I do that and still keep the quality of being a good mom and taking care of her, the way I want to be taken. I want her to be taken care of. So I decided, I'm going to stay home as soon as I had her, and I was selfish. I didn't want to give her to anybody. So I decided I was going to quit, all my 3 jobs and raise her, but I had to make money. So then I decided to do daycare. Daycare with 6 children plus Michelle. That was 7. And it was like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it was wonderful for about 5 years. I did that. And so then I decided that now that the kids were grown, everybody's, could go to school. She could. And then I went to do the cleaning. And then after that, I built a huge house cleaning company, 6 figures. And then I decided I could do better than that. I went into real estate. And I became a realtor. Then 3 years later, I became a broker in Oregon. Then we went to Hawaii. I did 10 years of being a broker for our company, Hawaiian Islands Management. Then I decided to open up a cleaning business as well to do that. And then we did short-term and long-term rentals in Hawaii for 10 years, which is Airbnb, VRBO. And then we decided after the Lahaina fires that we could duplicate what we did in Oregon, Hawaii, and now do it in Texas. So we're opening up in Texas as well as Hill Country Estates for the real estate and a cleaning business to help out with all the VRBO and Airbnbs and all that. Thanks to Michelle, because I wanted to be like the best mom and make sure all the, that she got everything she could. And we did some vacations to take, because you always have to take care of yourself and your family as well. So I would plan a vacation or 2 a year with the kids to do things to keep it going.
So yeah, we'll take it a step back there a little bit. Love the history here. But to take it a little bit of a step back, so you were kind of inspired to start the business by wanting to balance being a working parent, needing to work, as well as wanting to spend the time. And then, from what you said, really kind of shifting your businesses based on life, like my life stage, which is, I think, fascinating. And not everyone gets to do that. But even Lauren, I feel like a lot of where you've gone into working for yourself kind of ties to Axel, right? And your son, and being able to do that. I think, do we want to bounce to the next topic for Ellen and then come back to kind of like lessons from parenthood, Lauren?
Yeah, for sure. Before we do that, we got a comment, and Mom, I think you can speak to this. I'm not going to pull it up because it's going to cover our faces, but Gregory said that feedback should be a 360, not a one-way street. I really do agree with that. What do you say to Gregory about that? And how did you make sure that you were getting 360 conversations when you were giving feedback?
That's a really good point. It was one of my notes I had, and I felt like I was taking up too much time because whenever you give feedback, you should ask for feedback. And I'll tell you, much as people hate it, role playing is a good thing to do. And man, employees did not want to tell the boss anything negative. They felt like it would impact them and hurt them. And when I would have employee meetings and we would do a feedback session, it was both. You had to give me some feedback, and it couldn't just be, oh, you're wonderful and you're great. You had to really give me something I could do better. And I would word it that way, not something I'm doing wrong, because people are reluctant to tell you that, but what could I do to be even better? If you think I'm fabulous, yay, what else can I do? And that would open the door a little bit. And I would literally make them give me feedback, and it was so hard for them. They didn't want to do that, but role playing really works. If you don't like to role play, You should get over it because it's hard and it's powerful and it works. And if you practice makes you more at ease. And the more you do it, the better you get. And giving feedback can be tough. So Lauren, you've been in my role play. You've been my role player before. I've made you do it when you were young.
I know.
She didn't like it.
But
I
I
think,
can use any interview now. Thanks so much, Mom.
well, it really does help, even though people hate it. You know, when you do something a couple times, the nerves back off a little bit and you're better at it. And as uncomfortable as it is, plus it puts you on the spot. You know, if you ask the question that wasn't expected and you've got to think, you panic. Oh my God, I didn't have that one written down. I wasn't ready for that. But if you do it a couple times, you become, you know, it's easier for you. So yeah, you need to get feedback. But if you word it in that way, that I'm going to give you some, but gosh, give me some too, and word it that way. What can I do even better? What can I do more of? What can I do less of? Would a different way of doing something be good for you? Tell me. I want to hear it. Give me some options. And that's pretty effective usually. You know, if they can get past being afraid of what the reaction is going to be, especially when you're the boss. So.
Yeah. So kind of an opposite point, but similar to the feedback element, when I was managing a team when I was in college, we had a team that did not like each other, and all of the feedback was negative, and so-and-so's this, and so-and-so's doing this, and everybody was just complaining about everyone. And that was a hard thing to kind of deal with and come around. But what we did was during a team meeting, we wrote on a piece of paper, we typed on a piece of paper right in the middle, what I appreciate about you. And it had your name on it, and you had to pass it around to all of your teammates. And they all had to write something on this paper that they appreciated about their teammate. So we forced them to say positive things about everyone in the room. And while in the beginning, it was not well received, let's be very honest, for the first 5 or 10 minutes of this exercise, nobody wanted to do it. Once people actually realized that people were writing halfway nice things on their paper about them, they actually got very involved and wanted to finish this exercise and write very nice things. Some people even went back to the first person they wrote and fixed what they wrote and made it even nicer. And it's so funny, like something so small, but really practicing kind of being uncomfortable and saying something you don't want to say and giving that feedback, even if it's not where you're living in your head right now, it can shift your mindset. So very similar to what you're saying, just in an opposite perspective.
I like that.
Paul always shows up with some really good comments and questions. He says that it's all about actionable and tangible insight. Most people say things that sound good, yet in reality, they don't work. Did you ever experience that, Daniela? Somebody telling you something that sounded good, but it didn't work?
I took contractors' advices and all that, and I would put it to test. And if it didn't work, I'd go back to them and I'd say that didn't work out. So why now try it my way, and maybe we'll get somewhere. And then they did. Yes.
Love it. Andrew gave some good feedback in the comments. Mom, you'll have to go read that later. I can't read something about myself. Just doesn't work for me like that. And then Dan's talking about both of us, about how we're just smiling listening to our mothers today. And Dan, wouldn't you be smiling if you were live with your mother on LinkedIn? I'm just so happy that we have another 30 minutes of this amazing conversation.
Hey, before you change the topic, I want to add one thing. May I?
Of course.
Do you ever ask for feedback from your kids?
From my
I'm
kid?
sitting here thinking, do what?
From my kid?
Yeah, I'm thinking if I've asked you for feedback from me, and wouldn't that be spectacular if you could give your mom some feedback, or if you're a mom, if you could ask your kids and really listen to what they say, they would like you to do differently, or how you interact with them, or things you do. I don't think about it with kids too often. You know, we're talking about business, so you're thinking about, but wouldn't that be fabulous if you go home tonight, if you've got kids, and say, hey, you know, find the right way for the right age to ask them, how could I do things better for you? Maybe that would be eye-opening.
Actually, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Actually, Michelle stopped me a few years ago, and she said, Mom, don't you think that sometimes you should ask me how I'm doing, or maybe say more thank you? I don't think you say thank you enough. Oh, I said, I'm sorry. She goes, just say thank you. And sometimes if I'm doing good, I like to know that I'm doing good. So I started correcting myself like, hey, I need to pay better attention and let them know if it's good or bad and let them know. But I did correct myself over the years to saying more thank you and I appreciate you. And which, that was needed for me. So, yes.
Good job, Michelle. Michelle doesn't need this.
Thank you.
She's good at it.
Yeah. It's very on brand for me to just give unsolicited feedback. That's you don't have to ask me because I'm just gonna tell you. I'm just gonna let you know.
All right, Michelle, you're the feedback queen. Now we know. We're gonna have a whole episode next year on feedback, and you can just loop people in on the right way. I love this.
I love it. I'll start prepping for it.
Prep. Y'all, if you joined late, please don't forget. Danielle, I'm sorry, it's going to cover our face for a second. You can comment hashtag Sendoso to win some Grove Cookie Company, a Baker's Choice half dozen cookies. It does have to be shipped to somebody in the United States, but like Andrew said in the chat, if he wins, he's going to send them to Michelle. So you can win from anywhere. You just have to send them to someone in the United States. And we are very appreciative to Sendoso. Y'all, it is gifting season. Are you guys all done with your shopping? Is gifting done for everyone?
No, still shopping.
And I'm a no too. I'm a no.
Christmas Eve, yeah.
Lauren, I need one more gift for you, hon. You need to give me one more idea. Tequila. Boy, am I opening up that for
tequila. Let's go have margaritas.
I'll also take tequila.
There we go. Margaritas at the Mexican restaurant, Mom. No, I will say Sendoso is such a great gifting company. One of the last things I have to do is finish sending my last few gift links to all of my clients with their Christmas presents. They will not get them in time for Christmas, but they'll get the link in time for Christmas. I know that I had good intentions and I am my mother's child, because that's very on brand for us, Michelle, that you're going to have maybe a printed picture of your gift and it's coming late. I will say once you 100%. Retired, Mom, that never happened anymore. So maybe that's the secret. Everyone just retire and everybody get their gifts on time.
You have more time, believe it or not, when you're retired.
All right. The next topic we are going to talk about, we talked a little bit about becoming a mom in business and entrepreneurship. Mom, I'm going to ask you one question about this. When you became a mom and you were working, how did that change maybe not just your day-to-day life? Because I think a lot of people get that, but how did it kind of change your perception of business and work?
I made a few notes about this because, and I'll be quick. I don't want to take up a lot of time on this one because I think Daniela has a lot more to say than I do. But I will say I wrote down on this topic, I wrote down the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, working when you're a mom is good and you have a good example for your kids. You can show them how important it is to you to have goals and achievements and be successful. Being a good role model, I think, and letting them see that helps them. I think it probably helped you, Lauren, in your life to see accomplishments and have that as a goal maybe for you. And you got to pay the bills. Like Daniela said, you've got to work to pay the bills. You can't live without heating and electricity and all that. But a lot of satisfaction comes from work. And if you're a happier person because you're doing something you love and you're successful and you feel that pride, it makes you a better mom. It really does. It makes you come home and be more satisfied and have more self-esteem and confidence. So your life is more complete when you feel good about yourself to be a better mom. I really believe that. The bad, though, let me look at my list. Moms they're responsible for so much. Dads too. So all you dads out there listening, I'm not excluding you. You do too, many of you. But moms, I don't know, we live with guilt, right? There's still a conflict when you've got work responsibilities and you've got to take care of your children and they're the most important and your kids are the most important. But man, work is important too. And you have expectations and your boss and your employees and people depend on you and you get those conflicts. Your child's sick or they have something they need to do and you should be there, but you've got a meeting or you've got to travel. That's the bad. But the really ugly is the guilt. You end up working too much. If you have to travel, and many of us do, you're away, you're missing things that you don't want to miss. you're burning the candle at both ends, and you feel like you're not enough for either one. You're not doing enough for work, and you're not doing enough for your kids, and that's the ugly. It's tough, being a mom and being a working mom. It's tough. It's hard, but it's life, right?
It is. Daniela, what do you have to say about becoming a mom in business, and how did it affect your career? I know you talked about changing and pivoting things and all of that, but really becoming a mom, how did it shape you?
Well, it shaped me because I had to balance things. So I'm gonna, read it to you, where I had to balance the new baby. I had to balance the family and the business all together. And then you got to focus, and then you have to sacrifice your sleep. Then you have to get up early before anybody else does to take care of yourself and then the baby, and then get the business open, and then present yourself good. So I had to put all that. So there's sacrifice, there's focus. I would do a to-do list, things for 10 things every single day I had to get done. So I do it the night before, and then I had to be organized. I started organizing from my bed. I make my bed. I make sure I look good. I go take care of the baby, and then I open the business. And, that was with the daycare, and then it started everything else. So it's important, though, to take care of yourself as well, because if you're not good and you're not running on all cylinders, then nobody else is. And whoever you meet, you're given a half-ass kind of thing instead of giving them a full meal deal. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was a win-win every single time and every single day. So I decided to start the day early, put everything before the night before, organize it, and then go full speed the next day. That's how I did it.
Wow. That's incredible. You both have accomplished so much and done so much. It's really, really just impressive. And thank you for coming on and sharing with us. Dan is in the comments. He said that once we had kids, he realized that he had to be much more intentional in the time that he did have with them. He realized that he traveled too much for work, that he was putting in long hours, but when he was home, it was 100% for them. And I think that's important too, understanding that you can be intentional with your time. If you're using your time correctly, it's okay to have to work. It's okay to have to do these things, but being intentional with your time. And when you're present with your children, being present with your children, not being on your phone, not answering emails, not doing all of those other things that I think that we get all caught up in. We're a scroll-based culture. Even our children are on some type of device. So I think really being intentional is super important too.
Yep.
Y'all, we are halfway through the show. I cannot believe it. We're actually a little more than halfway. Okay. If you watch the show, you know that it is time for High Five Friday. That is the part of the week where we read all of your nominations for high fives. You can high five yourself. You can high five someone else. This is how Michelle really got involved in the show this year. Thanks so much, Michelle. Just so everybody knows, next year, high fives are going to move to once a month, one Friday a month. We will be doing a high five roundup of all the high fives for the month. So get ready for 2025 and a little bit of a new format for that. And Michelle, we're going to do some high fives. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, ladies, we will see you both in a minute. And Michelle, we'll see you back in 1 second.
All right, so if you are new to the show, you might not know what a high five is, but essentially this is just an opportunity for people to submit either a win for themselves that they want to celebrate or a shout out for someone else. Submit it through the form, and then we've been doing it weekly, but as Lauren said, we're going to move it to a once a month format next year. But let's jump in. All right, so first we have John for Suresh. Suresh is the type of leader everyone should have. He makes important changes based on our feedback. There's that word again. Coaches when it's needed to help us succeed and is confident in the direction we're going. Sales Table is poised for a great 2025 with Suresh at the helm. Next, we have Micah for Travis. Thanks for being a good friend over the years. Thank you for your advice and expertise in helping me set up my new business. Merry Christmas, friend. Third, we have Max for Olivia. Happy birthday, Olivia. The most the best, most professional co-working specialists in the business. Enjoy your birthday weekend. And then last but not least, and I will say, while I always appreciate it, it's so awkward for me to read compliments about myself, but Lauren, for me, Michelle has shown up so selflessly all year, not just for the show, but to provide some positivity to all of you here on LinkedIn. She inspires me and is a shining light to the people who know her. Thank you, Michelle, for going along for this ride with me and for showing up almost every Friday with me live.
Almost every Friday. I think other than the ones that I like canceled, you showed up.
I think there's probably been, I was thinking about that. We got to figure out like how many Fridays it was because I am curious now. I've probably missed like, I don't know, 5 to 10 shows.
Yeah. So if anybody is watching, let me switch this over. We're going to get our guest back in 1 second. My goal was to do 52 shows this year. I know that was a little bit ambitious to do it every single Friday. And while I did do the show with COVID twice this year, I did have to cancel a few shows for random reasons here or there. I believe twice for sickness and once for traveling. But this is episode number 48 of the year. We went live 48 Fridays so far. I know it's absolutely insane to me. And next week we will have one more episode. I have a special guest, amazing person in talent and recruiting coming on, Bobby, next week, episode number 49. We're going to end at 49 for the year. And then we will take the first Friday of January off. The first Friday of January, I'm taking one Friday planned off, and then we will try to do 50 episodes next year, 50. I'll take one other planned Friday. So that's the goal. We did 49 this year. Let's see if we can top it with 50. And with that, I think we should get our moms back. What do you think?
Let's do it. But first, or I guess they can be here for this too. I want to give you a shout out back, Lauren, because I don't know if people like quite understand the dedication that you have to the show and to showing up and being in the studio. Like, I have appeared on the show from literally across the country, from airport lounges, from coffee shops, from breweries. And yeah, I just think it's incredible, your dedication to the show, your dedication to the audience, and you deserve a shout out for that, and a very strong margarita as well, for sure.
Thank you. High five to everyone. I love you all so much. The show has just been something that's just so near and dear to my heart, and you coming on this year was like really special to me, and getting to host our moms today like really just feels like icing on the proverbial cake, so to say. So thank you, everyone. We got Jody says she's sorry she didn't get a high five in. She high fives everybody at the show, and she wishes us all a happy holidays. And then Olivia says thank you. And yes, Gregory, I did have COVID twice. If you go back and watch some episodes, I can tell you which episodes. The first episode with Leslie Vanette and Nikki, I was so sick. And Leslie called it before the show. She's like, I bet you have COVID. And sure enough, she was right. All right, 2 more topics. Are you ladies ready?
Yes.
Who wants to go first? Should we talk about, well, we just kind of talked about a lot of like mom and parent stuff. So let's move into employee development, and then we will come back to becoming a mom in business. I know we talked a lot about, or no, I'm sorry, we already did those. Delegation the Right Way. That's what we're talking about now. See, it's a Friday. I don't even know what we're talking about. Delegation the Right Way. I was talking on the show a few weeks ago, and one of the guests and I said something about, we'll come back to delegation. And you know, some of that feedback stuff that we were talking about before, my mother told me after the show, you said you were going to come back to delegation, but we never really got back to that. I think that's something that we could cover. So, Mom, you were right. We did not get back to delegation. But if there's anyone to teach us about delegation, she's on stage right now. So tell us about delegation and how you delegate the right way.
Okay. You're talking to me, right?
Yes.
Person who's been delegating to you your whole life.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question, and you can have your people that are watching put it in the comments. What's the main cause of failure of delegation? And people could just type and you can read them, but I pretty much know what most people are going to say. Lauren, what do you think is the main cause of failure when you're delegating? See, I'm putting you on the spot.
The main cause of failure?
Yeah, when it doesn't work out, when you've delegated something and it doesn't happen like you expected it to.
Micromanage the project.
It could be. Michelle, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say delegating and then not trusting the person to get it done. So you don't actually let go of it, I would say is probably the main,
Daniela, what do
thing.
you think?
Delegating the work to someone. So to understand the question, what was it? The right way?
The question is, when you delegate something and it's a failure, it doesn't come like you expected, it doesn't get done like you expected it to when you delegated it. What's the main cause of that?
Well, you just you want to take over and get it done yourself, and then bring them back and educate them on what went wrong. I wouldn't point fingers. I would say, hey, this is how we do it, and it came out right. We could try it again. You know, I have a hard time letting go and letting somebody else have control. But I've learned over the years that you have to do that because you cannot be in 10 different places. So it's hard to delegate.
Right? Yeah, you can't do it all.
We got answers in the comments, Mom. A few people said not communicating your expectations clearly. Somebody said a lack of leadership, and then somebody else said not clear communication.
That's absolutely. Right. Yeah. I wrote down the main cause of failure is lack of clear direction. And I believe that because that causes you to want to micromanage. If you haven't given clear direction, and I can tell you, I wrote some notes on this one because it's one of my favorites. I can't tell you how hard it is for me to delegate. Nobody can do it as good as me. I want to do it. I want to own it. I want to make the decisions. I don't want anybody to, it's like the little meme that says, I need help. I need help. No, you're doing it wrong. Get out of my way. It's hard to delegate because it's hard to get what you expect back, So I wrote down a couple notes. Lack of clear direction. I asked Lauren to give me an example of something that was delegated to her. I said, just tell me something that was delegated to you. You don't have to tell me any more about it. And she told me the parking issue when she had a company that the clients couldn't really get to the building because there was no parking. And it was so frustrating. There were other businesses in that strip and they couldn't get there. And it was me too. I went to visit her one day and there was nowhere to park. There's nowhere to park and you couldn't find a parking spot. That's a pretty big problem for a business. But I bet you they didn't give you tons of clear direction on what they expected. So I'm just going to make a couple little notes here. If you give clear direction, then you are explaining exactly what you want. You're telling them what it looks like when they have successfully achieved it. You're giving them all of the information they need as far as due dates, budget, the expectations that you have, and expectations of what you want and what you don't want. It's pretty tough to do. And then you ensure they can articulate that back to you and do it without interrupting them. Because how many times have you said, tell me what I said, no, you usually don't do that. We say, okay, you got it. They say, got it. But they didn't clearly define it back to you. So if they had delegated that to you, Lauren, did they give you any specifics? What it looks like when it was solved, how much your budget was, what your time frame was?
Probably no, absolutely not. This is the problem. Fix it. This is the problem. Fix it.
Yeah. Right. People don't get clear enough direction. They don't have an understanding of what it looks like when it is successful. They don't get deadlines or dates. And here's the most important one. If you have to delegate almost anything, you should set up a progress meeting. And what I mean by that is not, I'm going to check on you, that micromanager thing that we talked about and hovering and helicoptering. No, you need progress meetings. And in the meeting, you explain to that what that means. You explain to your delegee. It's an understanding that you're not checking up on them, but you're making sure that you gave clear instructions, that you set reasonable goals, that you explain what it looks like when they achieve it. You give them the resources that you've provided that, or whether it's time or money or labor or other people to help you or direction or information. And then also to make sure it's still a valid delegation. It's still a thing that has priority. You know how things change? This is really important. And then 2 months later, something more important bumps it. And you forgot you delegated it. And the person's working like a hamster on a wheel trying to get it done. And you're off to another direction and you forgot to stop them, and then they're furious at you and they'll never forgive you because you didn't have a progress meeting. Priorities do shift. So then you ask, how can I assist you? And my final comment, most important thing is, if they're not going to meet that thing that they've committed to, that you've delegated to them, then get a commitment that if it's not going well, if you need more of something, if you need more time, if it's not going to happen, then you promise me that we're going to talk about it. We're going to renegotiate the date or the time or the goal, and we're not going to let it get out of hand, and I'm going to support you to help you make sure. Man, is that important. Has that ever happened to you in delegation? Has anybody ever done that?
No, nobody has ever done that. But I will say something that crossed my mind, and I'm going to wrap this up quickly because I know we have a lot more to talk about. But I think it's very funny that we're talking about how it's communication and not clearly defining what we need. Even when I use Perplexity or ChatGPT, whatever AI tool you guys want to talk about, when I give it instructions before we begin, I ask it to tell me what we're doing. I said, okay, tell me what we're doing before we begin. And I want it to tell me the exercise to make sure that I've clearly explained. And I will also tell it. So sometimes I use it to help me write things, and I have certain phrases that I will not want, and I know them. So I have a copy and paste list of do not use, and I'm telling it the things that I do not want it to do. I'm telling it the exercise, and I'm asking it to repeat it to me. So it's literally all the things you're saying we should be doing with people, I do with an AI chatbot. I don't even think twice about it, but I would not really do that with a human being unless what you've taught me. But that's not something most people would ever ask. But I do it all the time in a prompt with an AI chatbot. I bet a lot of the people watching do too.
Yeah, I bet so. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And yet it's way more important for the people to get that.
Right.
One quick thing I was just going to add, because I know we get a lot of job seekers watching the show, and you talked about like success. One of my favorite things to ask in interviews and with different people is like, what does success look like in this role? And it's a different way of asking what the expectations are, but it's not, what is the day-to-day? You can read all that in the job description, or if you're an AE, you know what the day-to-day looks like. But like, what does success look like at 90 days? What does it look like in 6 months? Like, understanding that outside of delegation, but even in interviews and everything else is just like so important. So just wanted to add that note for our job seekers out there. Find out what success looks like.
Yes. And success looks different to different people. And what you assume success looks like is probably not what somebody else assumes it looks like. Don't assume. We all know what that acronym means. We don't have to say it, but don't assume. Ask people questions. There's no wrong question. I think some teacher probably told you that when somebody asked a dumb question in class. You know that's true. But there are no dumb questions, and just ask. It's better to know the first time than to do it wrong and then have to do it again. That's my philosophy. Okay, we have one more topic. We have the giveaway. If you joined late, don't forget, we have Sendoso as our official gifting sponsor. Today they're giving away Grove Cookie Company cookies. I can't eat cookies, so I'm giving them away. More food giveaways. You're all welcome. And can we just get some love for Sendoso for being such a good sponsor? Maybe they will sponsor us again next year. That would be fun. Keep it going. Okay, the last topic, and I think this is going to be interesting to hear. We have lessons from parenthood. I think that there's a lot of things you learn when you become a parent that are very applicable to business. But I also think it goes the other way. I think that once you become a parent, you realize how much of that relationship feels like a business. And the transactional side of it and the things that I'm teaching my son now about business and those kinds of lessons. So I think this can go both ways. Daniela, I'll let you and Michelle kind of take this one away and talk about lessons from parenthood first.
Sweet. Michelle, go at it.
Well, I mean, I'm not I'm not a parent except for to a dog mom. But I think, yeah, so just to kind of simplify it, is this like, what is something that being a parent has taught you to do either like differently in the workplace, differently as you build your business? What's like a lesson from parenthood that you've applied into just like other aspects of your life?
Well, I treated all my clients or contractors or employees with respect, and I would see every person as a son or daughter. after I had you, I had a different mind frame kind of thing. And so I had more patience. I had to humble myself. I had to understand to treat people, because that could be, my daughter or my son. And so to me, that was important. If you're asking what I did different, I decided that team, being like team players and getting everybody involved to be a team player compared to doing it on their own. I involved a lot of that as well, in my everyday business, teaching everybody. What I wanted results was being an example, but then helping them get there as well, because I wanted to duplicate myself, and the only way to do it is to teach them to be on the same path. And honestly, it worked, very successful for all my people. So I'm happy about that.
I love it.
Mom, any lessons you took from parenthood that really carried over to business for you?
I love that Daniela said about the respect, because that was like my number one thing on here. When you're respectful to your children, to your employees, to your coworkers, you get respect back. And that was your first item. And boy, is that ever true. You don't have to be the boss. You don't have to have control. You can be respectful, and people see you. They kind of follow your example. But I also wrote, Lauren, you'll laugh at this, when you're a parent, you got to be the dictator sometimes. You just do. You got to rule, and your rule is law, and there is no way around it. You're the parent, they're the child, and you got to teach them. So you can't really bring that to the employee boss relationship. But sometimes it's true in parenthood. You have to, that. We've had a few things where it didn't matter. I was going to be the ruler, and when you're old enough, you can make your own decisions. But then when they are older, as adults, I really try my best to let in your case, Lauren, too, all our kids, let them be their own person. And if they need to fail, hard as it is, they got to fail. Or if they're going to succeed, when they succeed, it's like they didn't do it your way, and look how great they did it. And I've seen that, with all my kids, that they have done things their own way, and they are their own person. And nope, it's not how I would have done it, but man, it's working for them. And I'm very proud of you. I want to say that before the show ends, how proud I am of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're both proud. I am proud as well of Michelle, and Ellen. I am proud of you for being such a great mom. And look what you just created, and it looks beautiful. And she's smart and talented. And I love her. And Michelle, thank you for hooking me up with Lauren.
And ditto, Daniela. You've got a beautiful, wonderful child too. Don't we have good girls? We could just do a mutual admiration meeting.
I feel like we're blessed, and so we pay it forward. You see what I'm saying? We pay it forward. And I was gonna do an example of with my contractors, if they were late, I decided to do different. Like they were late for jobs, and I had to take over and all this stuff to kind of, but I would ask them, why were you late? And then I would take them aside and say, is there anything I can do? How can I help you? Did somebody die? Did you have a car breakdown? And whatever it was, I would go and fix their tire. Or if somebody was sick, I'd go, go visit their mom or their whatever it was, or their kids, whatever it was. I felt like instead of just telling them, hey, you're late, don't be late or you're going to get fired next time, I'd be more like, hey, why were you late? How can I help you? And what's the problem in your life? Not just mine, so we could be a better team together. So it was always about team playing and helping each other, and then make it a win-win for all. Sorry, I just had to throw that.
I love that. I bet they respected you so much for that. And that's great leadership, because then they want to follow you into the fire, or lead for you. They would do anything for you when you support them that way. That's fabulous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, tell them you're proud of them, and get them gifts for the holidays, and give them time off for their family, whatever it takes. It's not about me. It's about all of us together.
That's great.
When you make them feel important, they in turn think that their job is important, and they know that relationship is important, and they want to stay. There's a big shift right now that people aren't following companies, they're following leaders. It's not I want to work for Amazon, it's I want to work for Darren. So think about that if you're watching. Who are the people that you respect in business, and who are you going to follow, and what are the aspects and the qualities that you're looking for in that next leader? Really quick, I want to call out Jody commented that being a parent taught her more patience and better communication. I think patience is huge. The level of patience that, like, I don't know how it rose so much once I became a parent, but if I managed you before I had a child, I am sorry. I am so sorry that I was not a patient human being, and I promise. Okay, we have the giveaway to do. Before we do the giveaway, it's my favorite part of the show. We have the Fun Friday Fact. I think this is just a fun part of the show, a way to close it out. It's not serious, y'all. You can type your Fun Friday Fact in the comments if you want. My Fun Friday Fact is that you can't see it anymore, but that was my high school picture behind my mom, and now you can't say it, Mom. Okay,
Oh, wait.
Ellen, you're gonna go. You still can't see it. You're gonna go first, Mom. So what is your Fun Friday Fact?
Okay, so Lauren, you know where we live, but for people that don't, we're not too far from the city, but kind of out in the country. It's pretty rural. There's a lot of vacant land around me. Last night I walked out the back deck we have a lake here, and I went out to walk down to the lake in the pretty moonlight, dark night sky, and a furry creature went tearing across the yard. I had my flashlight shining on it. It was a raccoon. We have a lot of them. A lot of people have raccoons. Did you know, Fun Friday Fact, that raccoons have 4 times more sensory cells in their little paws than most mammals? And that allows them to see, quote unquote, with their hands and get images of the object they are touching without even looking at them. Hence, they're nocturnal and it doesn't bother them. There you go.
No, I did not know that. I think that nobody planned to learn a fun fact about raccoons on the show today, but raccoons can see with their paws, is what my mother just told you. That is a very fun Friday fact. I don't have anything that fun to tell you all. Daniela, good luck on topping that one. What's your Fun Friday fact?
I don't know. I have a lot of deer here, and they just happen to come and sit in my front yard, and I just feed them apples, and I look at them. They don't go away. There's like 5, 6 of them sitting in my front yard, and I'm like, all right, so apples. They don't eat the broccoli, but they eat the apples.
If you fed me apples, I'd be hanging out too. Thanks, Mom. Love you one time.
Good thing there's only 2 minutes left.
Thanks, Mom.
Oh, she showed that. That's beautiful.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to do the Sendoso giveaway for some cookies. If you haven't entered yet, this is your last chance. We're going to share the screen and do the giveaway. I think there's like 10 people who entered. 10 entries. Let's go. Who's winning some cookies today? Michelle is in there, which is totally legal. Nobody say anything. She can have the cookies if she wants them. Let's see who's going to win. Gregory, Andrew. And Andrew said he was sending them to Michelle. So guess who won some cookies? By way of Andrew. Go ahead.
And I will take them to Daniela. So it's just this like chain of cookies going to happen. I'm going to send you her address, actually. Perfect.
Goodness.
There you go.
Everybody come over my house for Christmas then. Just kidding.
You'll get them for the New Year's while you're returning your stuff. Y'all, this was so much fun. Daniela, do you have any final words for the people who were watching today?
Thank you for watching. Give a hug to someone you love, or even if you don't love, and if you see them sad, give them a hug. Let them know they're loved every single day to your family and friends, and pay it forward. God bless.
God bless. Mom, any last words?
I wish Daniela and I lived closer together, because I was sitting here thinking, pay it forward, Merry Christmas. It's a spirit of where everybody ought to be friendly and happy. And gosh, she and I need to get together.
I will fly over. Just give me your address. I'll see you soon for dinner.
There you go. That sounds great to me.
Michelle, I know this is the final time you're joining us this year. Any final words for anybody after a long season?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank everybody who has participated in High Five Friday in particular. This is something that started a couple of years for me to just like lift myself up and force myself to show like gratitude and to like celebrate myself too, because that's hard sometimes. And so for everyone who has submitted a high five or even tried to or thought about it or supported the show, just like huge thank you. It's awesome to see again people who are also wanting to pay it forward and just bring a little positivity to the internet. We need more of it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ellen. And it was nice to meet you. Thank you, Michelle, for bringing me on the show. And Lauren, thank you for putting all of us together. Have a
Yeah.
blessed holiday. We appreciate
Yes.
it. And we love all of our
Everybody,
fans and people and followers and clients and friends and family.
yes, don't forget, wish all your clients and customers a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever they celebrate. Y'all, this was fun. We'll see you next Friday. But you know what I always say? If you didn't like it, don't come back.